Welcome to Expand Your Empire, the podcast where women stop deferring wealth and start building financial power. I'm Amanda Taylor, investor, strategist, and disruptor of outdated money rules. It's time to own your worth, grow your assets, and build a legacy that lasts.
So I'm going to tell you about a Friday. Someone I was working with told me to take a full day off. Not a slow day, not a catch-up day, a real day. Nothing on the calendar, nothing to produce, nothing to show for it at the end, just a day. So, of course, I scheduled it. I put it on the calendar. A day at home alone, nothing. And I made it to about 11 a.m. Before noon, I was cleaning out a closet. Not because the closet needed it, because I needed something to show for that morning, some evidence that the hours had meant something. And then somewhere in mid-afternoon, I got on a call and then I worked for the rest of the day. And I told myself it was fine, that I had tried, that full rest just wasn't really my thing, that some people are wired for stillness and some people aren't. And I'm just one of those who isn't. But what I really didn't say out loud, what I didn't even want to let myself think, was I was terrified of that day. Not of being bored, not of missing something, but terrified of what it would mean if I stopped working and maybe nothing fell apart. Or what would it mean if I stopped and I realized I didn't know who I was without the motion. So I cleaned a closet and I got on a call and I fed the machine again. So, hey everybody, I am Amanda Taylor. This is Expand Your Empire, and we're going to go into the machine. And here's what I mean when I say the machine. Your business makes money. You already know that. You built it. You grew it. We've all figured it out. The revenue comes in and then it goes back out. You've got payroll. You've got software. You've got contractors. The ads that are almost working or never working. The rebrand that's almost done. The next hire that's going to change everything. And somewhere in there, every year you look at what actually stayed, what you actually kept, what moved from the business column into your personal column, into something that compounds and exists independently of whether you showed up. And that number is smaller than it should be, maybe much smaller. Most people call this a cash flow problem or a pricing problem, a systems problem. And sometimes it is those things. But sometimes, and I think more often than we admit, the business eats everything you feed it because you keep feeding it, not because it needs it, because you do. Because as long as you're investing in the next thing, you are working. And as long as you are working, you are okay. That is not a financial strategy. That is a coping mechanism with an LLC. So I want to confess something. I have spent a significant amount of money over the course of building my businesses on coaching programs, on courses, on masterminds, on community memberships and certifications. A lot of things I paid for and didn't even do. These things promised a framework or a system, or maybe a room full of the right people, or a mentor, and people who had done what I was trying to do. And I want to be clear about something. Most of them were good. The content was solid. The people were real. The frameworks made sense. I'm not here to talk about getting scammed or buying into something fake, although that happens. What I'm here to talk about is why I bought them. Because when I'm honest, really honest, most of those purchases had very little to do with the program. And they had everything to do with how I felt at the time I bought them. Was I stuck or behind? Like everyone else had it figured out and I hadn't gotten it yet. Like I was working incredibly hard and still somehow not doing the right things. Like if I could just find the missing piece, the door that I kept almost finding, that things would finally click into place and I could relax. That's what I was buying. Not the curriculum, the feeling that I was doing something about it, the relief of action, the proof that I was still trying or investing or taking it seriously. And the moment the credit card went through, I felt better for days and sometimes weeks. And then the program would end, or life would get in the way, or I'd implement some of it, but not all of it. And I'd just be back in the same place, maybe with a better vocabulary for the problem, but with the same feeling underneath, because you cannot buy your way out of a belief. And the belief is what was actually running the show. So I've said it on here 100 times. I'm Gen X. I love it. But it means I watched my parents work constantly, proudly, it really without complaint. Work wasn't just what they did, it was who they were. It was the metric for everything. How hard you worked was how seriously you took your life. And how much you produced was how much you deserved. Rest wasn't a right. It was something you earned. And even then, it felt vaguely suspicious, like you should probably be doing something. So I grew up and I absorbed all of that completely the way kids absorb everything, without question and without a filter. And then I built a business on top of it, multiple businesses. And the belief, it didn't announce itself. It didn't say, hello, I am your inherited relationship with productivity and I will now be making all of your financial decisions. It just ran underneath everything. And it looked like really high standards. It looked like drive and being the kind of person who figures it out. And in a lot of ways, it built real things. I'm not standing here telling you that all the conditioning was bad. It got me here. But here's what it also did. It made stopping feeling like failure. It made stillness feel like laziness. It made profit, actual kept money, feel somehow less earned than revenue, because revenue requires you to keep producing and profit just sits there quietly, not asking anything of you. And something about that felt wrong. So I kept investing it back in. Another program, another tool, another bet, like on the next thing that would make it all make sense. Again, not because the business needed it, because I couldn't tolerate the alternative, which was sitting with what I'd already built and deciding it was enough, deciding I was enough. That Friday with the empty calendar, that wasn't a productivity problem. It was that question made unavoidable with nowhere to hide. And I cleaned a closet instead of answering it. So I want to follow the money because this is a business show and I want to be specific. Every dollar that went into the next program instead of into something that compounds is a dollar that isn't working for you right now. Again, not because the program was worthless, maybe because the timing was wrong and the reason was wrong, and you knew both of those things when you bought it. I talk a lot about revenue on this show, the gap between what your business earns and then what you actually keep. And I've said before that that gap is usually structural. It's pricing, it's systems, it's the way money moves through a business. But some of that gap is this, that quiet, automatic, completely normalized habit of feeding the machine to avoid the feeling, of investing back in because sitting with what you have feels like doing nothing, and doing nothing feels like the thing you were never taught to be. And it compounds just in the wrong direction, not just financially, but in terms of what you trust about yourself. Every program that doesn't deliver what you hoped makes the next purchase feel more urgent, not less. Because now you're behind and you're running out of time, and there has to be something you're missing, and maybe this one is it. And that is not a business strategy. That is anxiety on a payment plan. The business that eats everything you feed it isn't hungry. It's a reflection of what's running underneath. And until you look at it honestly, no program, including any of mine, are going to change the number that actually matters, the one that stays. Now, I don't have a clean resolution for you here. I want to be straight about that. I am still in this, I still feel the pull towards the next thing when something isn't working the way I want. I still have days where doing nothing feels physically uncomfortable in a way that doing something, anything, never does. The closet still occasionally gets cleaned, but I have started asking a different question before I buy something or invest in something or sign up for something. Not is this good, not do I need this, not can I afford this. What am I actually trying to feel right now? And is this purchase going to get me there? Or am I buying relief from a feeling that doesn't have a price point? Because if the answer is relief, I can tell you from significant personal financial experience, it won't work. Not for long. The feeling comes back, and now you have a new framework and the same belief and a lighter bank account. The work, the actual work, is slower than a course. It doesn't have a curriculum or a community or a certificate. It's just you. And the uncomfortable question of what you're actually worth when you're not producing anything. That Friday is still one of the hardest assignments I've ever been given. And I am still working on it. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Before your next investment, again, in a program or a tool or a new hire or anything, ask yourself honestly, is this decision coming from strategy, or is it coming from the feeling that I'm not doing enough? Because one of those builds something, the other one just keeps the machine fed. And if you have been feeding the machine for a while and wondering why the number that stays never seems to grow, I want to talk to you about what's happening in your business, a one-on-one conversation where we look at your actual numbers, trace exactly where the money is going and why. The link to that is in the show notes. It's free. It's 45 minutes, and it tends to start with the numbers and end somewhere much more interesting. We're going to continue the conversation about what it looks like to create separation between what your business earns and what you keep, the structural side of this, because the belief work matters and the money mechanics matter, and they both have to move together. That is what we're doing inside of Expand Your Empire, and that's what I want you to keep building. Until next time.
If this lit something up, share it, review it, and get in the room. Join the Expand Your Empire community and start turning wisdom into wealth. You're not too late, and you're not doing this alone.